Welcome to the Neither Here Nor There podcast. This week we're chatting shit and talking about religion. What else? That's it, right?
I think it's pretty much just religion because you're pretty long-winded on that topic.
Thanks. Anyway, hope you enjoy.
How are you today, Stuart? Did you play with any poop this week?
Just my own. And I fingered myself in the bum. What a way to start a podcast. Okay. No, I haven't been playing with any poop this week. I haven't been playing with any poop.
I hope you keep that.
I might. I had a shower with my dogs, though.
With them?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Well, normally my dogs get like cold shower with a hose outside.
Oh.
But when it's hot, so they don't get cold for long.
Yeah.
But because my dog's been feeling sick, I took him into the shower.
You babied them. Oh.
Yeah, we had a hot shower together. It was steamy.
With your dogs.
I was always worried.
How many dogs were in there?
Well, one at a time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What? So I wanted to ask you, because I'm getting a bit excited about. Well, you're into comics and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Not well, like Comic-Con and conventions and stuff like that. You're into them as well, or you've enjoyed them when you've been in the past.
Yeah, I've gone to a couple conventions. I haven't gone to that many, but I've had a good time.
The reason I ask is because I know you were excited a little while ago when we spoke, not on the podcast, but you told me you were excited about Umbrella Academy coming out on Netflix.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it?
Well, I only watched the first few minutes, and I didn't really get into it immediately. So I'll give it another shot, but I liked the comic. I thought it was fun. I like the look of the show.
Is there anything coming out that you're excited about? Because I'm really nerding out at the moment.
You are? What are you nerding out about?
Well, because on April 14th, Game of Thrones starts again.
Yeah.
Final season.
You're a fan?
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
And I've been watching video after video after video of YouTubers talking about Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. And all the stuff was how it relates to the book, you know, whether or not it's true to the book or not, all this stuff.
Have you read the books?
No.
Okay. Do you have a favorite episode or a favorite season or?
I think season 6 was cathartic.
Yeah.
God, it was great.
Is that the one with that giant battle?
Battle of the Bastards.
Oh God, that was insane.
Did you watch?
It was so intense.
And of course, they had the steady
intense.
cam or whatever on Jon Snow throughout the battle.
You feel like suffocated when he's getting suffocated.
Yeah.
It's really, really intense.
See, season 1 was cool because you're getting to know everyone, but then there was a big shock. Spoiler alert at the end when Ned Stark gets his head cut off, right? Mm-hmm. And seasons 2, 3, 4, and even 5, it's politics and there's long distances to travel and it's slow moving, but it's so great because it's a slow build up. Season 6, everybody gets revenge. You know, it's just like it's so great to see people getting the shit kicked out of them because you've hated them for so long.
Oh yeah.
Season 7, they went too fast, too quick. All of a sudden, journeys were taking like half an episode, and some of the storylines. You think, did they really agree this with the writer? Did the writer really agree to this?
I agree.
It seems like we've gone too TV rather than because the first season stuck quite closely to the books, and then they've kind of gone off and now.
I didn't really like Daenerys in season 7 as much. No, I don't know. There's some shift in her character and her personality that I didn't like as much. Yeah.
Anyway, we're probably devoted too much time to Game of Thrones, just nerding out about it because
That's
it's
fine.
Sunday today, so in 14 days. Am
I supposed to be joining in?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You can do the high notes.
Terrible.
Who's your favorite character? Still Game of Thrones heavy, sorry. Who's your favorite character?
I did do a Halloween costume of Mother of Dragons and I did kind of like a.
Did anyone get it though?
Yes.
Because it's.
I mean, this is when I taught high school though, because so I had a couple students kind of nerd out, But
that's it though. Like even if you go back 3 or 4 years,
that's when it was.
Series 2, Series 3, not a lot of people were into it. But it's got, and you consider the amount of money that went into the production, but it's got more and more popular, and they've had more and more money.
Yeah. So but I enjoy kind of Halloween costumes like that like a couple people get, and you have that connection,
really?
and it's fun, and you like that's the person who gets it. I don't need something that everyone understands.
You're speaking to the man who came dressed as SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yes.
So I'm more of a get everybody
on board. Yeah. No, I haven't.
So Mother of Dragons is your favorite character? Daenerys Targaryen? Stormborn, the breaker of chains?
I mean, Jon Snow is a really great character, too.
You know nothing, Jon Snow. Yeah?
What about you?
The Hound.
Oh,
he's
nice.
great.
He is a good character.
He just does not give up.
He is a good character.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Also, he's changed a lot.
He has changed significantly. Yeah, he'd be a good character to follow. I think he's had a good progression. We're still nerding out.
Yeah, what are we supposed to be talking about?
I don't know.
Religion.
Game of Thrones is kind of a religion for some people. I don't know.
But also Game of Thrones has a couple of different religions competing.
That's true.
There's the Faith of the Seven, the mother and the daughter and all that stuff. And then there's the Red Priestesses or the...
Fire Lady. What's it called?
The name of that god.
Oh, goodness.
The god in the flames or whatever. And then there's the many-faced god, who is Death, apparently. Death is the many-faced god for the House of Black and White and the people who change faces.
Yeah.
So it's weird, isn't it? Because obviously in that, it is fantasy, of course. There is magic. There are magical elements to it. Which I love when I'm watching some of these videos and these guys are like, but I mean, if we're talking about the physics, you see when that dragon dies and that dragon's reanimated and the flame is blue. So that flame could be like, when you have a flame and the center of the flame is blue because that's the hottest part. So I'm thinking that's physically it's not really possible for that to be ice.
None of this is possible. Let it go enjoy it.
It's a fucking dragon.
Exactly.
But okay, yeah. Let's talk about the physics of the flame. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, religion.
Are you very religious?
No.
Okay.
No. I think America is a much more interesting case in this
is it?
England. Yeah,
Why?
I mean, in England, the main religious question is not... I think almost everybody is... Everybody, in my experience at least, is agnostic. For those of you that are listening that are not sure about the difference between agnosticism and atheism. Agnosticism is that you don't know either way, so you don't really care. I think that's the best way to sum it up.
In atheism, you're pretty convinced that it's a no.
Yeah.
This does not exist.
So there's this great quote. There's this character called Pierre Bezuhoff in War and Peace, who's a great character. He's my favorite character in that book. And he goes through these chapter after chapter of trying to find meaning in life and religion. And he tries the Freemasons and he tries all sorts of things. And he is tormented by trying to find the truth. And eventually at the end of one of these chapters, he's doing all of this thinking and theorizing, and he says, the quote that he comes out with to summarize his feelings is, one dies and either finds out about everything or ceases asking.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that quote and his journey through the book, and that summary is kind of like his position on religion, and to be honest, the position that we all should probably take, I think. I consider myself an atheist, not an agnostic, but I really don't see the point in talking about it. He says on a podcast about religion, nominally. But yeah, I think you find out when you die, or you don't ask anymore.
Right.
So why fight about it now? Just do your thing.
Well, I guess people fight about it now because they don't see it as the curiosity of what happens after. Or they more see it as like a guidance for their life right now.
But
that's why they're debating
that's fine,
now.
But that's your life. I mean, I feel like with religion, it's like I don't have a problem. It's not up to me to have a problem or not, but I really don't have a problem with you having, or whoever having their religious beliefs and doing their thing. Like, you do you, right? That's fine. We're going to die, and either you're going to be right and you're going to do really well,
yeah,
or you're not, and no one's going to care because we're all dead. problem that I have is when it's not about individual spirituality. My problem that I have is in your country, there are lots of people campaigning to get creation on the science curriculum. Scary.
Lots of people is kind of.
But it's a strong case
debatable.
In a lot of states, and then a lot of. I don't think it's federal. The educational program, is that federal or is it on a state level or?
It's more state level. There's some combination, but it's more guided by each state.
But I'm pretty sure that I've heard and read about the campaign and the money behind the campaign to get creation taught on an equal footing to evolution.
I don't think that has a lot of push. I think there's some smaller groups, but I do remember. I mean, I grew up in Kansas, and I can remember when I graduated high school, there was talk about not teaching evolution in schools in Kansas, and I felt so embarrassed, like applying to. Shut up. That was applying to universities in other states, and coming from Kansas, where this is what we're talking about. But I don't know if it has that much traction.
But how are things at home?
What do you mean?
In your house?
Oh, in my house?
Was God mentioned, present?
No.
Did you pray before you ate?
No. My family's not religious. My
Say
dad...
your prayers before you go to bed.
My dad went to, Catholic school when he was growing up, which I think made him not religious because the nuns were really mean to him. And... he's someone who's always taught us to question everything, and he's, shared with me ideas from, Richard Dawkins and things like that, and so.
I recommend.
I didn't grow up with it.
I can lend you A Brief Candle in the Dark, which is the second half of his autobiography.
Okay,
it's a good read.
Yeah, I do believe that my mom might have had us baptized, maybe, when we were little, but we didn't grow up and go to church. I think that there were maybe a couple Bible camps, possibly, that we went to when we were kids, but I think it was just because my parents didn't have anything to do with us during the summer, and it was just make some stick figure Noah Ark or something.
I would imagine it's something to do with community, right? Even people that don't necessarily believe in the church, they might do churchy things just for the
possibly. For the social aspect of it.
So your mum, I don't know if you would have been like... if it had been commonly known that your family weren't baptized, do you think your mum and dad would have got some stick about that when they...
Well, that's actually something that's interesting because I feel like growing up, I didn't believe, but I had to almost be like a closeted atheist growing up.
Right.
Because people will accept you saying, I believe in a God, but a different type of God, or I believe in God, but I don't go to church.
Or even, I'm not sure.
Right, but
People
they really
think...
don't. Even I'm not sure they're not, and especially in Kansas, not super comfortable with that, but maybe I'm not sure. But coming out and saying, no, I don't go to church, I don't practice this, I don't believe in this, I don't think it's true, it's hard to do. You get tagged, you get labeled, especially growing up in that very kind of conservative environment. But I think that what was a huge benefit to me was that my family unit was strong, and it, even though I grew up in a very, very conservative environment, politically speaking, religious speaking, my family and we didn't hold those beliefs, and so I got to be comfortable holding beliefs that were outside of the norm, and I think that was really good training in life, just to be comfortable not having the opinion that everyone else has. You're not really supposed to talk about not believing in God.
It's kind of, I think, for most people here, for most young people here in Mexico, would be the same.
Yeah.
Perhaps less and less as time moves on. And there are more and more families who are baptized Catholic but don't actually go to church here. I know that the last time I looked up this statistic, it was 92 or 91% of Mexico is Catholic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you have Christianity's making a play here.
It is a little bit.
But the Christianity here, if you've ever been to one of their services, is still very Catholic. It's very iconography heavy, and which is not what Christianity is supposed to be about. I think it's a shame, as you've said before, it is a shame that we're never going to have a president come out and say,
That is what bothers me, I think, the most, is we're supposed to have this separation of church and state. It's supposed to not matter. That would be probably right now the most taboo thing that a president could declare, is that they're atheist.
But would it be more taboo than being gay, for example?
Yes. I believe so.
Okay, because we have openly gay senators, right?
Yep.
Or you have openly gay senators. In the states where you need a few thousand votes to go your way to make that state go for you, would those few thousand swing voters vote for a gay person? Tough to say, I think.
I think so. It would probably depend on the state.
But you think it's more likely
candidate.
they would vote for a gay person? Like, look at Florida, which is a huge percent is ethnic minorities, Cuban, and it's a mixture, but it's a bellwether, right? Whoever wins Florida normally wins the race. Do you think Floridians would vote for a gay candidate? I think in Miami they would. I think in Orlando they might. But in the north?
But that might be enough in some of the cities to call it for the candidate.
It's a shame because your founding fathers made very clear that religion was not to be a part of it.
But it is.
But it is. You can't get voted without saying God this and God that.
Right.
Donald Trump is your 45th president?
Yes, he's 45, I believe.
Well, there must have, statistically speaking, there must have been 4 or 5 gay presidents. And there must have been, I don't know what the percentages of atheism in America, it's like 18% or something, I don't know.
It's probably shifting, though, now.
Pulling that out of my ass, but...
Yeah.
There's got to have been a few presidents that were just saying it for the sake of it, right? There must have been.
I'm sure. But I think it's something that you have to do right now.
So, I mean, in my country, it's the vast majority of people seem to be agnostic, and it doesn't really seem to factor into anybody's lives. I went to a Church of England primary school, but the only thing that was religion-y about it was our assemblies. We had to sing like Hallelujah, and we did prayers in assembly, but that was once a week.
You still have them all memorized?
No. I liked Hallelujah, though. It was a good song.
Yeah.
But
do you think that we're missing out on anything by not participating in this?
No, not at all. I think it's sick.
Okay.
I really do. I think it's indoctrination. I think it's sick. I think it's, again, this is where we get into that territory of don't want to offend anyone, but if you think there are certain things which you could suggest are unequivocally right or unequivocally wrong, like killing another human being is wrong, right? Don't need a religion to tell you that. And there are other things, being kind to whoever, and these are unequivocally right. And you raise your children with certain moral values, and everyone's different, but there are some universals, right? I think it's fair to say. So perhaps it's wrong of me to say that I think that indoctrinating your child with religion is different to indoctrinating your child with good values. Because we all have to indoctrinate children, don't we, with our views?
Right.
Because they're a sponge and they need our views to start in life, to not get burned, to not make enemies in the playground. They need our advice and they need our experience. So to a certain extent, everything we say to them is indoctrination.
Right.
But I do think there's a difference between that and talking to your child about God and Jesus and all the wonderful things they did. I think that second one is sick.
I think that talking about inspiring stories can be a good piece of it. For me, the fear bit is the part that rubs me the wrong way. That if you do this, you're going to hell. If you do this, you're going to hell. If you're doing this, you're going to hell.
Ricky Gervais.
That's the part that makes me more uncomfortable than like the inspiring possible aspects of
Ricky
it.
Gervais says that Jesus, for a working class family, is like an unpaid babysitter. So if you're not watching your kid, just remember Jesus is always watching you.
Okay.
You know, that might be part of it.
But that's a fear thing.
Yeah.
That's a fear-based thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find it hard. I think it's comparable to Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
People grow out of that shit. And parents don't try and force kids to continue believing in it when they've stopped believing in it. I feel like Jesus may work, you know, the chances are a bloke with that name around that time who was a preacher existed, right? He wouldn't have come from nowhere. The fact that they attribute godly powers to him is something altogether different. But preaching that sort of stuff to your kids, I mean, you go along with the Tooth Fairy and you go along with Father Christmas and whatever because it's magical.
Yeah.
You said you've had an experience once with your son. Your son was talking to other classmates about this.
Well, yeah, we haven't done like the Santa thing really. So there was a message that went out from one parent to sending out a message to all the parents in the class, and said something about, you know, well, I just asked that you know, I know that some of you have told your kids that Santa doesn't exist, but some of us want our kids to still believe, so we, you know, it's a great responsibility for them to have that knowledge, and we ask that you know, be respectful of other people's desires, et cetera, and I ended up finding out it was...
Which
yes.
I initially, when I heard, I thought, well, that's a fair point, but
Yes.
then you explained your
My
perspective.
problem with it, right, because I think it did come from my son, who was having a conversation with this boy, and my son said, I don't believe in Santa, which to which he was... The kids responded, well, then you're not going to get any presents, was what they said to him, which was sweet. And so my problem was the word responsibility. That was my problem, that my child is somehow responsible for the beliefs of your child, to uphold this illusion that you're creating for your child. It's your choice to have your child believe whatever you want. That is everyone's choice.
Unfortunately, yes.
It is.
Yep.
But it's no one else's responsibility to participate in that.
To not burst that bubble.
Right. If you're worried that other opinions exist, then prepare your child for that. Then set them up and say, we believe in Santa, some people don't. Some people don't participate in this tradition. And then you're set. You're good to go. You can respect that other opinions exist, but you don't ask every single person around you to now have a responsibility, that weight of that word, a responsibility to keep up this illusion that you've chosen to create.
So if your son had said, I don't believe in God, and the kid had been like, well, you're going to go to hell then. And the mom had sent a message saying, I know that some of you have different beliefs, but I have a responsibility to not puncture the beliefs of others. How would you have
I would
felt
feel the same way. I would feel the same way, that you have to let kids know that other beliefs exist out there.
That's a very...
You should.
That's a very... I think that's true, and I agree wholeheartedly, but you're in fantasy dreamland if you think that religious parents aren't going to teach their kids the truth. And the truth is... It's
fine.
Muhammad, it's Jesus, it's Ganesh, you know, whatever.
Yeah. And I can see almost how religion can be comforting. You know, I can see that. I can see how if I just, no matter what happened in my life, if I felt like there was a friend who had my back and who was saying everything is happening because it's supposed to, I can get that would be really comforting. But it's not what I believe. But I can get how it can be comforting. I can get how it provides a sense of community for people. But my issue again is that perhaps that indoctrination as not that I'm offering this to you as a possibility of a set of beliefs, but that this is the only belief that exists out there. And two, what you're saying, kind of vulnerable people, you know, when you're talking about like conversion stuff. They're going for people who are going through a traumatic moment and who are at a low point and who need something, and then they get converted in that moment.
Or if you go back to children, it's the stage in that where they're in their development where they're a sponge.
But someone else who was religious would just attack you for saying that you're taking your non-belief and putting that in your little sponge baby.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I think the terminology Christian child,
you're indoctrinating them with non-doctrination.
Muslim child, or Hindu child. I think those terms are sick. The absence of belief is very different to one belief. If you see what I mean. It's like raising your child vegetarian. Although you could say, you're losing the proteins, whatever. If the child gets to a certain age and decides he wants to eat meat, well, fair enough. What can you do about it? Especially if they're an adult.
Yeah.
But they have the logic and they have the reason and they know about animal conditions and they know enough to make the decision. And I feel like if you raise them as a meat eater from day one, then you're not giving them the chance to not contribute to the situation of animals and the climate and all that stuff. If you see what I mean, like you're taking away that chance from them to have been a positive contribution to 18 years or whatever. Perhaps the example of vegetarianism is not the best, but I feel like my parents raised us all with no baptism and no religion. I am an atheist. My youngest sister got baptized as a Christian at 21. And my two middle sisters, I think, are pretty much agnostic. Yeah. So I feel like though my mother believes in spiritualism, she was, I think she started to go to church when I must have been about 7, 8, 9, something like that. I remember going to one service with her when I was 10, just because I asked to see what it was all about. But she never forced us to do anything or go anywhere or see anything, or she would speak about her feelings of spirit, and when one of her best friends passed away, she spoke about her in spirit, but never forced us to do anything. And the way we've turned out is fairly indicative, I think, of the fact that if you have 4 kids and you leave them to choose, 2 are down the middle, one's one way and one's the other. I think that's fair. I think that's extremely strong and respectable. To have a belief and to not force it on someone when they're at their most vulnerable is extremely strong. And I'm in the situation now with my wife where she's a Catholic, but a kind of a lapsed Catholic. Like she never goes to services, but she does believe in God. Right.
That's really common here in Mexico.
Right, but we have debates about our child.
Right.
She wants him baptized. I've refused. He's not going to get baptized. I've won there.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
You have 2 parents, one who believes, one who doesn't. And you could both talk about your thoughts and experiences.
But I feel like it's different. Number one, I feel like there's nothing and we're going to die and we're going to turn into worms meat is not as attractive a story as if you're a nice boy, you go to heaven and you live happily ever after.
So you're saying she gets a better story?
Yeah, I feel like the religion's going to win out in terms of the narrative. For a little child, it's going to be much more interesting. And think about this like superhero Jesus and all the things he could do, and compared to just a void of nothingness. I don't think I'm going to win there.
Do you think the world would be better off without religion?
That is a classic question, Laura.
Huh?
Well done for finding that classic question in your head or on the internet. I'm not sure. Do I think the world would be better off without religion? As if religion were gone tomorrow or had never existed?
I would say had never existed. Because I think dismantling...
Probably not.
Okay.
Talking about the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages, I think religion was probably a necessary evil, but definitely evil. Okay. But a necessary evil. You think about.
But you think differently if it were to be dismantled now?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you
think? If it were gone tomorrow, I'd be very happy.
The religion has provided different functions over history. Like now, it's not as relevant as it was before.
Exactly. Well, I think religion is something which we have always used to fill gaps in our knowledge.
Okay.
And as
before we had more gaps.
Exactly.
We needed it more.
As time progresses and science progresses and the things we can calculate and prove expand, the shadowy recesses of religion become smaller and smaller, and more light is shined on claims which are made by religion, and religion finds itself having to adapt. For example, from a heliocentric model, when it was proven that the Earth wasn't the center of the universe, religion had to adapt, and as time progresses, for example, the moral things like homosexuality and whatever are being accepted by society, and religion knows if we don't go along with this, then we're
going to lose people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like religion is playing this game at the moment of adapting and adapting and adapting and adapting to modern values. Some religions are a lot more, the stricter elements of certain religions stay the same. But I feel like in terms of worldwide popularity, especially in the Western world, religion is on the slide. And I think that's because so many things are explainable now. And so many things are not fertile ground for religion anymore. And I think that's why, if you look back 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago, what people used to believe and what people used to do, and for us it's laughable. And you have to think in 1,000 years' time, what will be laughable for people looking at us?
Oh, yeah.
I think one of them will be that we still believed in fairy tales. I think the other one would be the whole rigmarole of relationships.
Okay.
I really don't think we're going to have relationships in the sense that we have them today, of a stable partner and working at it and love and all that stuff. I don't think that's going to exist in 1,000 years. Think about 1,000 years ago. It didn't exist then.
Yeah.
Only since the Renaissance and then the Enlightenment, only since then in literature have we had love as being the answer.
Yeah.
Like love conquers all, or the fifth element is love. Love is the center of everything. That's only recent. You have to think we've grown up with that, but it's a couple of 100 years old. Before then, it wasn't about love.
Okay, Stuart. I came a little unprepared today, but we'll see if we can make this work. A little silly bit for the end of our... What?
I was doing in the microphone whilst you were speaking, so you should probably start again.
No, just leave it like that.
Start again.
Okay, Stuart. I came a little unprepared today. All right, that's all you get then. That's all you get.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Silly bit time. So I'm going to...
That's your introduction, is it? Silly bit time.
Yes.
Okay, carry on.
So I'm going to... You can't look at my screen.
Sorry.
So I'm going to tell you a translated idiom.
Okay.
And I would like you to tell me what you think it means. Okay?
Good game.
Did you see the first one?
To carry a bear or put a bear on
someone? Did you see what it meant?
Yeah.
Fine. Okay. Number 2. So this is Norwegian.
Yes.
To swallow some camels. To swallow some camels.
To believe something that you shouldn't.
No.
Okay. To swallow your pride?
Kind of like to give in.
Okay.
To give in. I don't know how.
Swallow some camels. Yeah. All right.
Japanese. My cheeks are falling off.
Laughing too hard? Something's very funny?
This food is so delicious.
My cheeks are falling off.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see the drawing here? Look at the drawing.
Nice.
Okay. French. When chickens have teeth.
Something is not as it seems.
Think about like when pigs fly.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, when something's never going to happen. That's in English. Italian. Not all donuts come with a hole. Not all donuts come with a hole. What?
Don't assume anything?
Things don't always go as well as you would like.
Okay.
Kind of like when life throws you a curveball.
That's weird, though.
Monkey wrench in your spokes.
I think donuts with jam in the middle with Jell-O in the middle are the best.
Wait, what?
Donuts
Jell-O?
not Jell-O, what's it called?
Jelly?
Jelly. No. Hold
Jello is the stuff that jiggles.
on. All right. Isn't that jelly?
No. Jelly is like...
You're so full of shit.
No, I'm not.
I don't think you're ready for this jelly. I
Well,
don't think you're ready for this jelly.
that is a song, but jelly
says
is
jelly.
what you... Yes, but jelly is what you spread on your toast.
No, that's
you know?
jam.
It's also jelly.
Why did
Jello.
Beyonce say in that Destiny's Child song, I don't think you're ready for this jelly?
Maybe because it rhymes. I don't think you're ready for this Jello.
Ready for this jello.
No. So Jello is
Anyway,
the jiggly stuff. Okay.
So the jam in the middle of the donut, raspberry jam in the middle of the donut is the best. A full donut with raspberry jam in the middle.
Well, this one is really weird. Okay, ready for the Icelandic one?
Sure.
The raisin at the end of the hot dog.
What?
The raisin at the end of the hot dog.
Like the cherry on top?
Yeah. Unexpected surprise at the end of something. Polish. Mustard after lunch.
Things in the wrong order? Things in the right order?
Yeah, it's like that ship has sailed. It's too late to do something. It's already happened. Mustard after lunch is just useless.
enough.
You already had lunch. Arabic. Break a fast with an onion.
Break a fast with an onion. So that means that you've been waiting for something and
Okay, yeah. You're on to it.
you've been waiting just for something and it's turned out shit.
Precisely. To get less than what you were expecting.
Okay.
That was a good one. Swedish. Slide in on a prawn sandwich. You just sliding in on a prawn sandwich, Stuart.
Making a minimum effort and something like doing the least.
Yeah. Having an easy life.
Okay.
You're sliding in on a prawn sandwich.
So weird.
Dutch. Ooh, gross. Ooh. Have hair on your teeth. Yuck. Oh.
Something about speaking? Speaking strongly or speaking...
Yeah, to be self-assertive. You're good at these.
Well, that's like the Mexican one. No tener pelos en la lengua, right? Not having
Really?
hair on your tongue.
I've never heard that.